Hey guys, it's me, Althazar, and welcome to another episode of Achieving Perfection. And this one is for Ravnica at War Glory and the blue-black node. So, per the usual, I'm going to really quickly show the decks in case you just want to copy-paste take them. So, one choice is going to be Liliana, and this is what I would go roughly for Liliana. Our next choice is going to be for the people with larger collections, and this might surprise you, but Angrath. And I would go with something like this. All three of these vanguards, by the way, have been gift horsed from Fiblethip, so hopefully you have the three of them. And our last option is going to be Bolas. You could use either one, but because I suggested the other Bolas for the other node, I'm suggesting this Bolas for this node, and I'll get into why. But these are what I would go for. All right, so now let's take a look at the objectives. So for this one, objectives. We've got Ravnica at War Glory, and we've got this blue-black node over here. And this one is brutal. I can't sugarcoat it enough. This node is awful. And it's awful because Amass is awful. And there aren't many cards with Amass. They really could have done a better job with it. And so it really limits what you can do. So you need to cast 4 or more cards with Amass during a fight, and you need to deal 12 or more damage to an opponent's Planeswalker during a turn. So the dealing 12 damage is really easy. It's casting the 4 cards with Amass and still finding a way to win. So let's get into what would I do for this. So you've got 2 choices from the Origins Walkers. You either can use Liliana or you can use Jace. And Origins Jace is terrible, so I would not suggest using it. It's the worst of the Origins Walkers. So what would I do here? Well, okay. First up, Angrath, Captain of Chaos. This one you get for playing the story, and it has an Amass 2 for -2, so you can start pumping out Amass tokens. I kind of cheated here. I chose a rare, I threw it in, and it's just because Amass is really that weak, and you really want to make sure that you have this card in your deck. So you really should be targeting getting this card for pretty much anything that will require you to have Amass, and it's Dreadhorde Invasion. So this one is going to be giving you a bunch of the Amass tokens, and then once they get to a certain power, so 12, then they gain lifelink also. And so that helps mitigate the life that you're losing to this, and also in general just helps keep you afloat from horrible things your opponents might do. Other cards with Amass that I would go for here would be Gleaming Overseer. So this is 14 for effectively 5 in power. So the Amass tokens come out with 3. They get Hexproof and Menace, which is nice, so you'll be able to swing through things like Razia if your opponent is running Razia. And Hexproof just makes it so that they have to kill the Overseer first. But it's 5 total power for 14, or I suppose 6 because of the way that Amass works, which isn't terrible exactly. It's not good. It's just not terrible. And then the other one I'm throwing in because the Origins Walkers don't have good mana gains, so there are other Amass cards that you can throw in, but this is just strictly to try and achieve the objective. If you're already achieving the objective, then this is what you're going to be throwing away when you use your first ability every time, because it is a terrible card. So when we move away from that, what else are we left with? What else do we want in the deck? So we want removal, and so for removal, once again, Angrath Rampage. This helps with getting rid of vanguards and creatures. You've got Death Sprout. This is going to get rid of creatures, and then you can fetch lands for conversion. You're going to need conversion. So what conversion would I suggest? Something that produces just black, so Gateway Plaza. And then more removal, so Liliana's Triumph. This is going to destroy creatures untargeted, so it's going to get around Hexproof, and as other people will likely be running the Overseer, and the Overseer comes down first, the token comes down second, it's going to be a way of getting rid of those tokens, and they're going to be more powerful than the Overseers anyways. Discovery. This gives you card draw, but also returns the opposing creature with the greatest cost to its owner's hand, then your opponent discards it. So, yeah, great card. And once again, untargeted. Now, this is going to really round out the deck, and I really like this card in here for a few reasons. One, it's pretty easy to play. It's only 10 mana. 2, it has lifelink. There aren't very many blue cards that have lifelink. 3, it's got death touch. So if your opponent is giving their creatures vigilance or reach or something like that, it's going to kill them. And then finally, it lets you filter through cards in your deck. And this is really important because Liliana does not have ways of drawing cards, really. So this is going to let you filter and more likely get into things like Dreadhorde Invasion or Angrath, Captain of Chaos. So for this, the more you can level up your Liliana, the better. Liliana is a Planeswalker that I think is best at 60 anyways, but you're going to want the extra mana. So I'd go with something like this. You can switch around, right? So take a look at Amass really fast. It's terrible. It's awful. It's terrible. Terrible, terrible, terrible. So all of these are bad, right? Except for 2 cards, actually. Bleeding Edge. This is just until end of turn. Otherwise, it would be playable. Somewhat. Not great, but playable. This thing, it gets Berserker, and then when it dies, you amass, and it costs 10. Not good. This card is great. This card you can use in conjunction with the Berserker dude, because you'll give the Berserker Death Touch. But, yeah, not great again. Angrath, this is not great either, because it's going to kill all your other stuff, and it requires you to have the zombies in the first place. So if you're behind, you can't actually board wipe. And really, the main point in board wiping is you're behind, and so you need to clear the board for yourself. Not good. This beautiful card was a card that you could buy from Fiblethip. It's for purchase this week. It'll be for purchase next week. Once again, if you're watching this in the future, then no, it won't be available. But it's an excellent card. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Not only will it achieve Amass for you, but that -4 is going to destroy a creature untargeted and a Vanguard, both. And for -4, she comes in with 6. Your opponent's probably not going to match her gem twice, so she'll stay alive. Even if they do match it twice, then you lose her, but you still destroy 2 things. So she's amazing. And yeah, this thing is way too much mana for its ability, right? If this thing was like 8 mana, then it would be playable. Not great, but playable. But at 16, no. So yeah, I would go with this. Then let's move out of here. You might have been wondering at the beginning, why Angrath? So there aren't very many options to choose from for this node to be able to get decent cards. But one of the nice things about Angrath is that second ability, Captain's Command, is going to let you take your opponent's army tokens and then kill them. So it's a reliable way of control that doesn't require you to have control cards. And Angrath's mana bonuses are fairly solid, so he's a great option. Then after that, we've got some of the more like decent-ish Amass things. So we've got Liliana Dreadhorde General, which is amazing. Dreadhorde Invasion, which is amazing. This dude who's bad, really bad, that costs 5 mana, so usable. And then we've got things like Razzia Rakdos for killing everything. We've got the Death Sprout card to go with Blood Crypt for mana. And we're using this thing that I've already said is bad, but there's a reason for it, and that is this beauty. So Rawl is amazing for this objective because you can copy the first non-copy spell in your hand that has full mana and give it full mana. So you can just keep using Rawl to fuel one of these that you have disabled with full mana and just complete the Amass objective by just spamming this, which is actually pretty decent and viable. So, oh yeah, and Bolas, because Bolas is awesome, right? So this is a perfectly viable option, and you're very likely to be able to go perfect with it. The other option, and this is the way better option, is you go with one of the Bolases. I think that the God Pharaoh is the best choice here because it's going to have that +1 to destroy creatures, and it just gives you so many options with Rawl. So once again, Rawl, you're copying things, and you've got removal here for Callous Dismissal, which is actually a solid card. You've got the Commence the Endgame, which is going to draw you a bunch of cards and amass a bunch, which is great. And so you can just keep copying those, achieve your objective really easily. You can have Flood of Tears to get rid of your opponent's board if they get down too quickly. Death Sprout is going to be able to get you both Steam Vents and Blood Crypt for mana. The Dreadhorde General is just further control and amass. And then finally, be careful, okay? So I'm choosing Razzia here because I think that Razzia is the best choice, but make sure that you hear this well, right? So Dreadhorde Invasion pings you every turn. It deals damage to you. that means that every turn, Razia is going to be hitting your opponent when you take that damage, and then hitting your opponent for its regular damage because of her ability. Whenever your Planeswalker takes damage, your opponent's Planeswalker takes damage equal to this creature's power. So using these in conjunction, never play Razia unless you've achieved your Amass objective or if you need her to wipe the board. Okay, so don't play Razia unless you've achieved the objective or you need her to wipe the board. There's plenty of control in this, so you should be fine. I know that there are only 2 creatures between the Amass and Razia, but you can go ahead and use Bolas's second to draw 2, which is great to have extra card draw, make a different type of zombie token, and your gravy. Nonetheless, the Amass and Razia alone will be enough. Trust me, this deck works. You'll go perfect if you have all these cards. So those are my suggestions. I wouldn't really suggest other things because there aren't any other good, really blue-black walkers. The Tezzeret walkers are both good, but neither of their abilities are going to help you with the objectives. They're based on artifacts and stuff. So this guy, no, and this guy, definitely not. So good luck. I hope you make perfection, and I hope to see you in the next one.